Um, okay, do I have a motion to begin?
So moved.
Motion to begin.
All right.
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Hi. Okay, everybody. I know we have the report on the council members' meetings. We can go to that. The agenda has just three things. I am going to make an announcement based on an email that I got today. I think that's appropriate, Miss Jackson, correct?
Yes.
I mean, I'm sorry, Miss Warner Wiggins.
Mhm.
Okay, you know what I'm referring to. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Unfortunately, one of our commissioners has resigned, Miss Monica Jackson. She has stated that she really has enjoyed all of her time working with us all and wish us the best in future endeavors. However, family and other commitments are taking her priority right now, and it's her best interest to focus on those. So I just wanted to say that we now have a resignation and a vacancy.
And
So,
just for the
go
so
ahead.
the group knows, I forwarded the letter to the county executive's appointments officer, so that she's aware and can follow up with whatever next steps would be.
Yes, because I believe Miss Jackson was through the county executive's office.
Yes, she was.
Okay. Okay. So I just want to state publicly that just thank you, Miss Jackson, if you're watching or if you're listening. Thank you so much for your time on the board. Thank you so much for all the input and consideration that you did. We will definitely miss you. Yeah. So it's just us now. Hopefully, Miss A. Diane will come back. Hopefully we get our soldier there back. But right now it's just us. So I just wanted to say that and then just begin. If anyone has any reports out on the council, I can go first and then we can go to anyone else who's had meetings. I do have meetings scheduled with the 2 out of the 3 council members that we were supposed to meet with. Me and Commissioner Nelson are going to connect in regards to the one council member that we are meeting with jointly, because I believe that their calendars are pretty filled up because this is kind of budget season. But yes, I have schedules on the calendar and we'll be meeting with them in the next week and a half, 2 weeks. We're supposed to meet with them yesterday, but apparently it's been very hectic in context to it being the budget cycle, as well as bills and committees and things of that nature. But yes, we are on the books for that. Has anyone else had any other meetings?
Which council member was that, or members?
It would be Councilmember Burrows and Councilmember Blagay are the ones that for sure I would be meeting with. And then I know me and Commissioner Nelson and I will schedule a time to meet with Councilmember Watson.
Yeah, I did meet with Councilmember Olson, but that was a while ago.
Mhm.
I think I reported on that.
So you're breaking up a little bit, Satitra. Commissioner Satitra, you're breaking up.
Oh, sorry. No, I said I did meet with Councilmember Olson. This was a few months ago, a couple of months ago, I think. And he was supportive.
He was supportive of fully funding it or funding it to our request.
Funding whatever the executive put in, I think, at this point.
Okay. Did anyone have any other meetings? And I'll also note and lift up that we had talked about last time kind of the county executive race and the forums and things of that nature. I did get a response in context to one of the candidates for county executive. And I think we can reach out to the other ones, but one of them said, and this was the candidate Brave Boy, she stated that that she's in support of the fund as written as law. So that could be very, very good. That could be very, very good. It could mean, that she'll support it being fully funded. Um, you know, or it could mean, like we've heard before, yes, we support it, but we already have other budgetary issues. But I think even just the statement of, yes, I support this, is positive to a degree. So. You're on mute, Commissioner Smith.
Yeah, I don't, I mean, I just woke up. It's 4:30 in the morning here, and I received an email around noon today. No, around midnight my time today. It's about 4 hours ago. From an activist with a news link, which says that Council Member Ivy has withdrawn from the executive race.
Yes.
It's a WJLA report, so
Yeah.
I just wanted to make a note of that in the context of people we were trying to meet with and convince and so on. So
Yes, she has withdrawn from the race. I mean, we still should meet with her just to reinforce her support because she's still a council member.
yes,
So definitely meet with her I think that's your district, Commissioner Smith. But I
Yes.
also think you were going to say something. So, but I just think meeting with her would be good regardless. But go ahead, Mr. Smith, Commissioner Smith.
Yeah, no, I think it would be good. But yes, so she withdrew from the race or dropped out or however she characterized it today. No, not really any further information. But so she remain, in any case, she would have remained the council chair. So she's still the lead person for the council and remain that for any budget negotiations and development. So it is important to have her and the existing council's support for whatever comes forward from the executive's office in the budget. And I would also think that when that budget comes down on March 15th, if I have that date correct, that fingers crossed, there would be some positive news in there for us and something, and that it would be important for us to meet with or follow up with the leadership of the council and all the council, but just to reinforce our support for that. And I think I mentioned before that one of the things that I've been bringing up in my personal point of view is trying to point out where, and I think as a council, commission decided not to get into the weeds on like, where should the money come from? But one of the things that I've been doing that I think is consistent with our position is just pointing out that the additional special election that would occur should a at-large member be elected will result in $4.2 million in costs that the executive has to put in the budget. So apparently, at this point, I would presume there's 4.2 million penciled into the budget. And then when we get to March 4th, if it's not a county at-large candidate who wins that primary, I would think the executive would be comfortable removing that, and then we'd have $4.2 million. And while I'm not saying that even if an at-large member won, we should cede, and give up on the funding, I think it's important regardless. But that is one place where in this really dire budget year, that's a significant amount of money that could be available for this and for other important things.
Agreed. And I did see the email earlier about the final listening session happening tomorrow. And I will be speaking as a citizen in support of fully funding the Fair Elections Commission to the letters that we have written. Were you going to say something, Commissioner Smith?
But, or to follow up on that, then just to reiterate that I think it's Tuesday at 5 o'clock when the record sort of closes for testimony to be or comments to be submitted by email. So that would be something that we could all on the commission encourage our networks. And if each of us got even one person to submit a supportive email, I think that would be valuable and helpful. I think it'd be great to have some input beyond our commission. So hopefully could do that. And I have found people, when I've brought it up, are really interested and supportive, and they think it's a good idea.
Agreed.
I just had a quick question. When you're saying fully fund, how are we defining that? Are we still talking about the 2 for each position? Or what is because our letter was sort of pragmatic, right? Pointing to what is likely to happen and what would make a good launch for the program.
I have to look at the letter again, but I have it written down in context to what I'm going to say in relation to fully funding it. Is there anything specific that you would like for me to highlight?
No, I just wondered how we are defining fully fund, because a while ago we were saying we wanted funding for 2 candidates for each position, right? And that or 1 candidate for each position. So there were various things we went through. And then in the letter, we pointed out various scenarios that would lead to a reasonable launch. So, I'm just wondering if we should be specific in the letter we're sending out, or the comment that we're making now. If anybody had any thoughts. I'm not wedded to anything. I think.
Well, thanks for bringing that up. There on the screen.
Yes,
So,
thank you, Ms. Warren-Wiggins.
Yeah, so let's be clear. We're not sending any more letters, are we? We're just individuals are trying to rally and support for this.
Yes.
And this is what I would think. This is our operative latest document. This is what we shared with the acting executive and with the staff and with others. So, and when I testified, so I've been telling some people like scenario 2 that that's a minimum. However, when I testified in person, if we look at the sentence above the bullets, it says, for example, an appropriation of $675,000 could fund 2 at-large candidates and 9 district candidates. So that's kind of a hybrid of 1 and 2. And I went with that one, 675, when I did my oral presentation, just to kind of push the envelope, and that since we have these at-large seats still, that it's likely, maybe we would have 2 people running. I don't know. So, but I think we've agreed that even if we got just 275, which would be kind of disappointing, we really want at least 475. I think so. We got at least 1 at-large council. But I'm comfortable with the way we've laid it out here, and then because we just keep hearing more and more every day. There's just another drip in the big bucket of of like how bad the budget is, and so I think we've done a good job of laying out some alternatives.
I agree. I'm gonna
Yeah, I'm
stick to
fine. I'm
the
fine with that.
yeah. I'm gonna stick with the 3 scenarios from the letter and go from there. Um, Speaking of which, we can go to number 2. Updates on letter responses. Ms. Warner Wiggins, unless you got something in your mailbox, we haven't got.
I did not.
They got these letters and they were like, okay, thank y'all. But no, we haven't gotten a response from the letters that were sent out. And so, you know, that's where we're at right now. I think us showing up at the public listening sessions, making our voices known, saying what we feel, and then following up with the meetings of the council members is the route that we can continue to go as it stands right now. I mean, we've, you know, these letters are matter of public record. We've sent them. We've had meetings with the acting county executive, and it wasn't a negative meeting. So I don't want to make it seem as if it was negative, just in context and not receiving a response to the letter. So I just think at this point, moving in that capacity, I will say, I think for March, if we haven't gotten a response or anything by, I think our next meeting is March 12th. I would say that, and we can have more conversations of this via email leading up to March 12th. I would say that another letter could go out, particularly if the March 15th drop date is when the budget will come out. Also, I would say it from that perspective, because I think after March 4th or 5th, we'll have an understanding or a possibility of understanding where our county is going in context to new leadership under a county executive as well. So that could lend itself for additional conversations with the incoming county executive. So.
So a question
Yes,
on that then.
I mean, I wonder. Go ahead, Dan.
Go ahead. Well, I just was wondering whether, given that March 15th would be when, on or about that date, we would know the budget proposal. Should we meet? Should we have a contingency to meet and respond after that? I mean, or seems like there might need to be some. It'd be more timely to have a response. You know, be ready to act on whatever that is sooner than a month later. I mean, we could maybe even just, yeah. What do you think?
I think we're saying the same thing different ways. I'm totally fine with us via email between now and March 12th drafting, like, you know, 3 or 4 different letters basically saying either thank you for this amount, thank you for the, you know, thank you for either any amount of the 3 scenarios that we have, or addressing if, you know, not willing, but like if we get nothing, you know, I'm fine with us having those already drafted and then talking about it on March 12th. And then to your point, once it comes down March 15th, I mean, we've already talked about it, already voted on it. That way, whatever we get on March 15th, we're able to say, oh, okay, hey, you know, we've already have these draft letters. This is what we're going to send out. That was what I was thinking. Does that align with what you're suggesting?
Yeah, yeah.
I just had a quick thought, and that is, should we be reaching out to Mr. Early to find out what the implications are of not requiring a special election to fill an at-large council seat? Because Mr. Early was present when we had the conversation with the acting executive. And He's probably in the thick of drawing up the budget. So I wonder if we should reach out to him and find out in the context of Councilmember Ivy's withdrawal, where things stand, and whether that, I mean, it's such a small piece of the entire budget that I'm sure it doesn't make any difference in percentages of money, but in terms of this particular issue, whether it loosens up some money to have a more
Well,
significant.
I'm not sure if I understand your point, because right now there still is, they're both at-large
Two.
members are running, and one just dropped out, so there still is one in there. So, and at our meeting with Mr. Early, he did say, he said 2.1 million is the cost of each special election at large for
I
primary
see.
and general.
Right.
And I confirmed that yesterday was the understanding of Councilmember Dernoga. I just ran that number by him just to get before I talked about that further, to see if that was his understanding, and that's his understanding. So I think we feel comfortable characterizing that special election cost, but I don't think there's, unless that number's changed, and maybe if Ms. Wiggins can just check with the staff to see if that estimate is different, so that we're accurate in as individuals talking about that. But it's not till after the 4th that I would think they would know. And so my understanding is that, so for fiscal year 26, they would need to have some money as contingency for special elections, only, I think, for the at-large or council member who would have a vacancy before this December. So once you get, my understanding is, once you get past December like 4th, the anniversary of when they were sworn in, the last year would be an appointment. But until then, it would be a special election. And that's why if the an at-large member wins in March and then vacates in June, we'll have another general and primary in the fall. So I'm not sure what else we could get from Mr. Early other than that, to reiterate that what's in our letter, and we hope there'll be funds in there, and that that there wouldn't have to be, I guess, that 4.2 million for at large if one doesn't win. But they still, doing their due diligence, they still may have to keep something in as a contingency, or have a fallback to go into the rainy day fund or something if someone vacated unexpectedly before December. Or
No, I think that's a good summary. Thanks.
Okay.
so just one thing, and I think I put it in a note that so I went to the Hollington retirement community, their forum last week on the they had one the week before it I wasn't aware of with the county executive candidates. And then they had one last week on the 5th for the District 5. And there is a link. I think I sent it, or I could send a link if people are interested. They did have a question. So they did say, they did a yes or no question, and here's how they characterized it. Public campaign financing. In 2018, the county established a fair election fund to provide public campaign financing for county executive and council candidates beginning in 2026. Given the dire straits the budget is in, do you believe it will be possible to fund the fair election fund sufficiently for the 2026 election? It was a yes, no. And everybody except, I think, Mr. Gray said yes. And I should go back and check the video to be sure, but there was strong support. And of course, these are people that aren't going to have to vote, don't have the opportunity to vote this year, but I think it's an indication of support. And there was certainly the people asking the question, from Collington and their team. The sentiment seemed that, that was a community that would be in favor of this. And this will be, a version of that question will occur on Monday at the Cheverly Forum, where all of the District 5 candidates are appearing. And I'm hoping it's coming up in some of the other forums that for county executives. So just if any of us have the opportunity to weigh in with people that are asking the questions or showing up and submitting them, let's do our best to get this visible and to show public support.
Yes, and I think there's another District 5. I know there's a couple of other District 5 ones coming up as well. Okay.
Yeah, and
So
I think NAACP has one for the full county executive on Saturday at 10. And there are additional ones there as well.
yes. Take his butt? No, it's upstairs. Okay. Well, I kind of figured this might be a little short meeting. Do we have anything else moving on to next steps? I think we are kind of slid into next steps, talking about what we're going to do in context to being out in the public in context to these candidate forums and asking the questions, as well as making sure that we are emailing each other in regards to some of the letters, draft letters for the possible whatever they're going to say about the budget. And then also the upcoming meetings that we have with our council members, and then making sure that we also still talk to Ivy, even though she is transitioned out of the county executive race. Did I miss anything?
Here's one thing is, I wonder if there's any way to go back and look at some of the forums that have already existed that occurred and find out if this question has been raised and how people have positioned themselves. Because so I'll commit to looking at the Collington forum, which I think was late February, and looking at the video to see if this question came up, and then and how they responded. Because I mean, that would be helpful to me if Councilmember Ivy has already gone on the record one way or the other on it. That would be a helpful background to continuing the conversation.
I
And
went.
maybe, yeah.
I think it's good. I know they didn't ask the question at Laurel because of time. There's like literally like 8 million candidates in this race. And then I did see 2 other forums. One through a church through the J. Parker Lay Foundation. They did not ask that question there. And there was a virtual forum, and I didn't see them ask the question there either.
Okay.
So, but I do think for the NAACP, there's another NAACP coming one to your point on Saturday. I do think that I reached out and asked for that question to be asked at that one. So hopefully it is there.
Okay. The other question would be just with Ms. Warner-Wiggins, is there anything else on the manual or whatever we're calling our overall, the manual or guidebook for the races and for the candidates that we should be or could be doing, or yeah, how are we on that? Or
I'm sorry, can you, I'm not sure I understand what you're asking.
do we have the is the manual complete, or are we still working on that?
Yeah, it's not complete, but it's close to complete. So I'm
Okay.
hoping to be able to kind of get in a final stages in the next few weeks. So that, and then show it to you all so that you can see the a final version before it's posted to the state Board of Election site.
Because
Go ahead. I mean, I guess my question is, would it be able to be
just
complete before our next meeting?
Yes, yeah, we
Okay.
should do that. Yes, like so that, and I'll try to get it to you at least a week in advance so you can have a bit of time to look at it before the meeting.
Great.
well, there's a couple of candidates who have already kind of expressed interest in running publicly financed campaigns. So what is it we should tell them? It would be good to get them the manual. Is it in reasonable draft shape that they should be reading it anyway? And our changes will be minor, technical. I mean, not really very technical, but really more language.
I wouldn't give it to them in this current state. I mean, there's nothing in the manual that's not part of the law. And there's also information in there on how to, for instance, navigate the MD Chris system, which is, I mean, similar information is available on the state's website as well. So it kind of pulls all the information in one place, but
Okay.
it's nothing that's not available in other means, through other means. I
So
wouldn't
what
share
would be the
it.
best thing to, sorry, I mean, what would be the best thing to point them towards right now?
I think the law itself, the current the current law for the program.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then I forgot, is there a date that, I think you talked about date before, is there a date when candidates can begin to like announce their intention or begin the
Mhm.
process? Was that March or?
I believe it's now. I have to double check with the state whether or not the Prince George's County whether someone can actually file for candidacy for Prince George's County right now. But it's the state has to set that up in the system. But I believe it would definitely be sometime this month. I'm not sure if it's available today. It may be, but I do believe it's this month is when individuals can start filing for candidacy. Anyone running, whether publicly or otherwise.
Can we
Okay.
can we get that answer?
Mhm.
Because we have had candidates reach out in context of saying like, hey, oh, I want to run, what's the information? So definitely want to be able to give them that, and then to the other point, provide them with the book, the manual as soon as we've like got it together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would, and if anybody wants to run, I would, of course, would direct them to reach out to either the county board of elections or the state board of elections. Anybody that, because that's how they would have to actually file for candidacy and file the notice of intent.
I mean, so, I mean, in principle, they could start much sooner than the current date, right? To actually file and start raising money. So the match does not come until 1 year before.
They need to file their notice of intent before they start raising money, though, if they want the money they raised to count.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right. Yeah. Yeah,
But
they have to
yes, they
start. I mean, their
can.
campaign has to be, their account has to be a publicly financed account,
Right.
campaign account,
Mm-hmm.
which is different. Right, so that's the main thing, and if the state board is ready to accept that, then they can
Mhm.
start,
Yeah,
I guess is the way.
and then essentially July 1 is the earliest that anyone will be able to get matching dollars if they meet all the criteria.
Right.
Right.
So I just, while we're talking, I just looked up on the Board of Education. They have a whole spreadsheet about the 2026 election. And you're right there. It does say, candidates can begin filing on Tuesday, February 25th.
Okay.
So that would be for the first day that for the 2026 election, candidates can file a certificate of candidacy. So that's the beginning. So we'll be right
Mhm.
close to that our next meeting. And
Mhm.
great.
Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So I'll move that.
Second.
All
Second.
right. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right. I will catch you guys on the emails and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks so much.
Bye.